Hello there, peeps. Thanks, Great, for giving me to this. This is Ronnie Last, and today we're going to play Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah, it's kind of Sarah and me want to do something together and do something fun together in an online game. We sometimes play single-player RPGs and then we just watch each other, but it's kind of fun playing together in a game that is kind of a genre we kind of really like, with dragons and monsters and huge worlds. This is the opening page. You can make a couple of characters, you can change some settings like video, graphics or whatever. You can even do some stuff, some settings on your keyboard bindings. That is actually, if you play a lot of other games, you want to kind of adjust it to what you're used to. Like for example, Sarah prefers the arrow keys to move around, while I prefer the classical WASD knight, as I call it. They're kind of like all possibilities. I have a pretty decent video card, the GTO 920 from NVIDIA, and I can play pretty much everything on very high settings. That is really nice. It kind of immerses you a little bit more into the world when it looks nice. And I have also a separate audio card just to take the strain off my processor, my CPU, so I can really boost there. Really nice, especially when you have games that have really nice music in the background. That is nice if you can listen to its full potential. That is really nice. You have also some add-ons, which basically means is that you can put in some little software pieces like made by players that gives a little extra features to your game. Like I have a little window where I can use all kind of gestures. There's some pretty funny ones I will show you later. And as everything is mostly in this game about discovering, basically by running into an area, I made it myself a little bit easier in the leveling up system to the skill up points. You can find them throughout the landscape, also by doing quests. But the markers they are always visible on my map, and they are called sky shards. Okay, I'm not going too much. Okay, now we have characters. Now you can make a couple of characters. I usually make one character basically in every online game, even in not online games, and I stick with that. I mean, I'm not in the mood to play every freaking single quest again with another character. But the possibility is there. This is my character. We started the package from Elder Scrolls Online from Bethesda as a let's say an extra pack. That means that you get a mount with it, you get a kind of a pet with you, first pet. All the players, they all had to earn it by playing the game. Now you can have an online store where you can buy it. It's not necessary, you don't need it, but it's fun to have and fun to play around with, especially if you're into cosmetics of the game that you like, special appearances. Sometimes I'm in the mood to do something funny that is unexpected, and you also will show you. This is my main character. He's a dragon knight, which means that I start at a certain area. First, everybody starts at a certain tutorial area, which is kind of a dungeon, not very long, but you get the basics of the game about movement, combat, and magic. Really a tutorial area that you will visit in between, sometimes in certain quests, which are the main storyline in the game. So you will see it once a while again, each time a little bit more difficult than the previous time. Okay, now well, let's play. Now, if you start with the class I chose as I think it's a Breton or an Imperial. Anyway, it's Imperial. My liege is to the Imperial, which means that I got a certain class. Every class has its own little plus and pros and cons. And the Imperials are especially they excel at force and Not as much as magic, but mostly like melee combat, which means I chose the Dragon Knight Order. After that, you can join some guilds. Now, we start here at the city of Daggerfall, which is in the province of Anambra. Actually, you'll start at that little house. That's where you enter from the tutorial area in this area, and from here you see all kind of markers lift up in your little movement. You see the little bar that says where stuff is, even the direction on your map. This is a fairly small city, but you start here with plenty of quests. You have a basic market here where you can sell your stuff, which you're really going to do a lot, really a lot, because you have a fairly small inventory. And the first thing I started, I was just there are a couple of ways to expand your inventory, which are actually pretty expensive, not in real life money, but just gathering the in-game gold, and then you can buy a bigger backpack. You can buy bags for your horse, or you can even go to, as you see here on our left, you have a bank where you can use as a personal storage, which you can expand with buying more storage room with your gold. This is my character with the basic armor. I don't have really much stuff. I'm not really much of a collector. I prefer just have the best what I can use at that moment. The system is built that way that you cannot use equipment, let's say Uber equipment, when you don't have the appropriate level for it. You have to wait until you're leveled up. So basically what I do is everything which is under my level I can use, I just trade it. And you can trade it here in-game with NPCs, but it's also possible if you're part of a guild, you can trade with your guild mates. I traded a couple of times with Saradu stuff. She is more into ranged combat. She likes to use a staff and more depending on agility, while I'm more like a typical tank. Heavy armor, do as much as damage as I can, and the only part of magic I actually use is for soul reaping. That means that I collect souls and soul gems, which I can magically empower my weapons and my armor for extra defense or extra damage. As I said, our packages came with a mount, which is really nice. You can move a little bit more around, you have a little bit more storage possibility. The controls are pretty basic. They are pretty much like any game that uses where you can choose between a first-person perspective or a third-person perspective. I kind of prefer the third-person perspective, because especially with the over-the-shoulder look, where you both see a little bit of your character, but also feel you're really in the game in way of immersion. That's my preferred way. A lot of players prefer to playing like really like a little tiny puppet they can control. That has the advantage that if enemies sneak upon you from behind, you actually can see them sneak up to you. That is a big advantage. Other players just prefer to play in first person. I don't really like that so much. It's very personal. You have all kind of buildings where you can do a lot of stuff. You can crafting is a big thing in here. I didn't really get to that yet. Just playing 2 weeks, so we're fairly new here. I basically did the most missions in this area, which I can show on the map. This is the town where we're in. We can zoom out. This is a fairly large area, which is the area of Anambra, with the main city Daggerfall, and all those white little symbols. That means that there's a quest there and you finished it. You have quests you can do solo. You have quests you need to be in at least a team of 4. You have things that come back. If it's black, like this one, use the enchanting table. Well, I didn't really get to that yet. I don't seem to be able to find the appropriate ingredients to do the actual enchanting. I'm just lazy and I just buy enchanted items from a trader. Probably not the best way, but it is the fastest way. So you see, this is one area. Okay, so how are you here in the city of Daggerfall? You build up a daily routine pretty fast. There are some stuff you want to do day in, day out. One thing I start with is leveling up my horse.
Hello?
For more storage capacity. You can also choose to
My horses
say,
are
I want to have my horse more stamina. Why do you want your horse more stamina? Well, if you run into a bunch of monsters and you are doing another quest and you don't want to be bothered with it, you just run as fast as you can. You take a little sprint and then they won't follow you anymore after a little while. Speed, same thing, but I prefer the storage, the carrying capacity. You can do that every 20 hours. So usually when I start this game, that's the first thing I do. Then I do some quests. And at the end of the day, I go to a trader and I sell everything I don't need and I repair my armor. That's basically the routine. Okay, how can you move through this world? Well, of course, obviously, you can walk. Or you can use a mount. Okay, well, that's not what I wanted. You just press H for horse. Even if it's not a horse, you still press H and you can run around. Another way to fast travel is using the way shrines. And that first, there's a little trick to it. You have to find the other wave shrines first before you can actually use them. Oh, we have company. That is nice. There is Saradu. Level 20 ranged staff warrioress. Maybe we call it Xena or something. I don't know. This one thing we find really enjoyable in this game, which is actually possible, is that you the armor you loot is you can kind of a little bit modify it. If you're from the Imperial part, you can basically make every armor part you have, you can transform it in Imperial style. I don't do that always because sometimes I like the original style a little bit better. But the more you play, you kind of unlock colors. That is a pretty cool feature, I think. You just go to a dyeing station. It won't cost you anything. You just have to do the missions to level up, and then it slowly unlocks more colors. So it also, I think, that way, if you get a little bit more into the game and you look around, then you can actually see, oh, this player has been not only has high had a level of skills like this 47-1 Mr. Legitimate Waffles. They got their waffle? I don't know. But you can see that if they have more nicer colors, then they're probably been in game for a while, and then they have nicer outfits. When you just start, the first armors you get, the stuff, it's not really spectacular. It's not bad, but you really have like, okay, I really feel like a noob. I mean, you don't start with some awesome stuff. And I think that is good. That's a good rewarding system that keeps you playing and makes you feel proud of yourself that you finished a certain quest. We do both things. We do solo quests. We kind of follow and each other what we're doing, and sometimes we help each other out, giving little hints. Watch this, check that out. And sometimes we really pick a certain quest we both didn't finish yet, and then we just do it together. And that has big advantages because especially the harder mobs with the two together, when one is doing range damage and the other is just a tank like myself, then even harder level bosses get a lot easier to defeat. There's a little bit of a drawback. I don't know if that is intentionally, but to do the quest system, if you work like a team, like Saradu and me, and one of us has already finished the quest, especially for the main quest, and the other starts it, you can't really help out because those mobs will not spawn for you. You won't see them while the other does see them. You also won't see the talk of, let's say, the NPC messages. Only the other person will see it. So that Saradu and me are really trying, and that sometimes is not as easy as it sounds, to not to get too much a finished quest while the other still has to do them, because if the other is lagging, he has to spend another couple of hours really to get to the same area again and doing those quests together. Bethesda did they did some stuff here that were repeatable quests, so you can do them every day, and you can always do it as a team. So you will always see in a dungeon or something, you will always see the same mobs together. It's not that one sees them and the other doesn't. Yeah, I'm always a bit anxious. I always draw my sword for nothing, especially when I see people on big tigers running around. So now you have two types of outfits here. You have the really in-game outfits that are kind of like armor, really having stats, and clothing that you can buy or craft. Also a new feature that Elder Scrolls Online introduced is you can just buy outfit for the cosmetic part. You just put it on. You will still have the same statistics as you have with the actual armor you're wearing, but it just looks different. And Serdu here gives a little example that she has the morphed Draw. Draw is actually a monster from the Oblivion Plains, which were introduced with with the game of Oblivion. Those were the main monsters there that you had to battle, and they kept coming back in the lore of the Elder Scrolls. This is of course more a serious kind of costume, and I wouldn't be Roni if I would do something completely ridiculous, because I kind of like being ridiculous, so I thought, why not put on a wedding dress? And yeah, that is a kind of funny. And if you then say, okay, why not dance? Let's dance. Or if you say, hey, I want to play an instrument, I'm going to play an instrument. And if you even want more attention draw to yourself, sometimes you loot some fun stuff that's not really has any real function in the game, but is just fun, and I can, let's say, set myself in the spotlights for a short while. So that is a kind of fun thing you can do. That has nothing really to do with the game, but it is kind of fun. Sometimes it even makes people start talking to you and having a nice conversation in the chat. The chat system is pretty basic. You have the zone chat, which means that everybody in that area or province, they all can read that. And mostly it's about like, hey, somebody can help me, we need a level 20 tank, or we need a healer for a certain dungeon, can anybody help us out? I suspect that the personal chats are really more personal, that sometimes it's a friend request, like you're a funny person, do you want to be on my friend list? Maybe even for later doing some dungeons together. So they're asking if this they have pets here in this game. It's pretty funny. For example, this is not mine. I suspect it's from Like a Waffle, and this is an in-lore robot, actually a dwarven robot, and apparently, I don't know, I've never seen how you're actually going to do that, and you cannot buy them. You can have them as a pet. We have some pets as well, which is kind of funny. They don't do anything, they don't add anything to your statistics or whatever, they just are funny to have around you. I have a couple, this is one of my favorites. So this little greyish guy is mine, and this one is Ceradu's, and they're fun. I mean, it's not really making you any stronger, or it will not attack an enemy for you, it will just run around you. The pathfinding for the pets is actually pretty good. I never had trouble that they were getting in the way or something, that you were doing combat and they would stand in your way, block your sign of line of sight. Sometimes NPC do that. If there's an NPC in your quest and they keep you company, they sometimes get in your way, not really making your combat worse, but just visually it's annoying. But that's just a little minor thing. Well, you can zoom a little bit. I don't really have much to do here in this area. The little things, you can find little magical shrines where you can pick up some stuff which you can later craft into glyphs, stuff you can add magic to your armor or your weapons. Now here I have a lot more to do. I still have a lot of quests that needs to be finished. Those basically work like this. White, you have finished it. It's not all black and white, but that's the basic system. Little triangles upside down like this one is, there you have a NPC probably waiting for you to finish or start a quest or whatever. If it's black, you have to start it. If it's finished, you're halfway the quest, or you can even finish the quest there. The basic system of the quests: you have an NPC quest giver, you have some NPCs that you have to talk to while doing the quest, and you have an NPC that you have to talk to when you have done all the quest items, and then you get your reward, usually gold coins and a lot of times a piece of equipment, part of armor or a weapon or some magic stuff. Okay, now what can we do? Okay, well apparently you can be a vampire werewolf. I read some stuff that werewolves, especially if you can transform to a werewolf, you can be pretty powerful. And that fits into the lore of Elder Scrolls anyway. That I remember that I played. I started with Morrowind a long time ago. It was mind-boggling at that time. It was really like open world with so many quests and so populated and fantastic visuals for graphics for that time. That's quite a while ago. At that moment I got hooked up with the Elder Scrolls series, and yeah, so I played Oblivion till I did, I think, every quest 2 or 3 times, adding modifications to the game, which makes it even look better. Till this day Oblivion still looks pretty good. Of course I played Skyrim, although I didn't quite finish the whole story. I think I kind of got lost with quests that I somehow didn't seem to be able to actually finish them. But I think I got as far as actually riding a dragon, and that was pretty nifty. The world looks pretty good. Maybe not as fantastic as you would think when you're used to the games like Oblivion and Skyrim. You know what kind of quality Bethesda can deliver, and then it might be a little bit disappointing, but you have to take into account that this is an online game, and you have some certain restrictions on the amount of packages you can send over the internet, the amount of stress on the servers on Bethesda's side. So I think they try to find a good balance between nice graphics and good playability. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense if they created a beautiful world with very beautiful graphics and it's unplayable because servers just cannot handle the amount of data transfer. So if you're running like Sarah do me with a decent or even a good video card, and you just juice it up to all max settings, then it looks pretty good. And I never really had any lag issues. An occasional that you get kicked out of the game, but you tell me if you know any online game you were never got kicked out or crashed. I played some that were really so awful that uninstall them and never play them again. But no, it's pretty good. On Elder Scrolls Online have a bit of a bad start, which gave it actually a bad name. They got bad reviews all over the internet. I saw some, and the first time I saw it was like, oh no way I'm going to pay $60 or more for a game that is so bugged like this one. But a couple of weeks ago, Sarah and we were watching like kind of YouTube movies, and we got a new review of Elder Scrolls Online where they said, well, don't watch those old YouTube reviews, because Bethesda did a lot of work. They really worked hard to get all the bugs out, and you might find maybe a couple, but all over it's very playable. There's some funny stuff you have to understand about online gaming. For example, sometimes, and that's not something you really have a lot of influence on, is that you sometimes might log in on a different server. So Serduk and me in the exact same spot and still not see each other. And actually that can be fixed pretty much. There's a very, very cool option in in your friend list that can actually say, well, your friend list, that's the group, that's not the friend list. Of that, you can say, okay, travel to the player, and that doesn't mean that it will really let you, let's say, in-game travel. What it does, it just searches for the server where your friend is located, and will you place to the nearest spawn point. So you might have to do a little horse riding or running before you actually together, but that does work. You will see each other in game again. Well, so much is a lot talking and not much playing, so you probably still have no idea what this is all about. Most the keyboard layout is, I didn't really change a lot to it. I use the most keys as they are on default. I did add two things though. I don't like keeping the W button pressed down the whole time when I'm walking or riding motorbike, so I just assigned to a mouse key number 4 auto run, and the only thing you have to do is get him in the right direction. That I really like that. And even if I'm tired of running and I just want to be cool, I just say, okay, let's walk calmly, majestically.
Hail.
One thing I did change from default setting is that I put the health bars of all the players, make them always visible. The default setting is that health bars will only show if you really get the mouse pointer over them, but I said I don't, because I sometimes got confused when I was in a dungeon and I really couldn't see what was a monster and what just a fellow player. A couple of times it happened to me that I was chomping on a player. Not that I could do any message, but you feel pretty stupid if you're just hacking on nothing. And the same happened to me when I have an outfit that I kind of look like a monster myself, and people started attacking me, and then they're like, oh, sorry. When the message in chat saying sorry, I didn't realize you were a player. This is a crafting house. You can all kind of do kind of stuff here. The place you always want to look up the first time you get into a town is the marketplace, where you can buy armor, soul gems, all kind of stuff. There's a food preparing system, a kitchen in it where you can make your own food that makes your with recipes you can actually make food that makes your health lasting longer, or get your health bar up again, that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. Okay, maybe later we do some stuff on actual gameplay. Here is a little idea about how this online game looks like. In all fairness, you really see only certain style. This is the typical imperial style, as for both environment as for the buildings. A little bit middle-aged, medieval kind of stuff with some Scandinavian details though. There are a lot of I visit a lot of areas which are actually more like Arabic looking, and I'm pretty sure I didn't see a lot yet, and I can imagine there are areas who are more like the Oblivion world. They did bring a lot of the old Elder Scrolls stuff in this online game. A lot of things. If you played Elder Scrolls before, you will find a lot of things that you would say, okay. One of the things especially the city. This kind of stuff you always seen in the Elder Scrolls games, and all the elven races and the extinct elite elven race. I think it's these are old elvens, but the ruins are still there, like you could find them in Oblivion. I didn't see much like I could recognize from the Skyrim game. That is a little bit more Scandinavian themed. I didn't see that yet here, but I'm pretty sure when I enter another province that it will be have that same theme there. Okay. We're going to conclude and edit this first video of the Elder Scrolls Online. Roni and Sarah.